Welcome back. We bring you breaking news from OpenAI's live event.
A new version of ChatGPT 4, that's their latest and greatest model.
This new experience will be available to over 1 billion users.
I'm going to be interviewing at OpenAI. Have you heard of them?
OpenAI? Huh? Sounds vaguely familiar. Kidding, of course. That's incredible, Rocky. What kind of interview?
You said that this is a time for soul searching in social media businesses, and you were part of building the largest one.
I feel tremendous guilt. It is eroding the core foundations of how people behave by and between each other.
My worst fears are that we, the field, the technology, the industry, cause significant harm to the world. I think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong.
An anomaly on Capitol. Capitol Hill, private tech CEOs asking for more government regulation. It's usually the other way around.
Why does our idea of health and well-being so often stop at the mouth? Tooth decay is...
If you're old enough to remember a time before the internet, you remember just how momentous the establishment of the World Wide Web really was. Within a generation, your digital life became more important than your physical one. Your digital reputation was all that mattered.
Bro, the fact that my mic just was not on is heartbreaking. Jesus Christ. But like I was saying, it's crazy that a lot of these companies can really sit here and have platforms and... Man, fuck it, bro. That just fried me. How was my mic not on the whole time? It's crazy. Should I restart it? I'm gonna restart it. We're only a minute and 25 seconds into the video.
Welcome back. We bring you breaking news from OpenAI's live event.
A new version of ChatGPT 4, that's their latest and greatest model.
This new experience will be available to over 1 billion users.
I'm going to be interviewing at OpenAI. Have you heard of them?
By the way, I haven't seen this video besides the
OpenAI?
part that I just watched with y'all.
Sounds vaguely familiar. Kidding, of course. That's incredible, Rocky.
But just look at how the AI can talk to you, like, and have a conversation. That to me is the most terrifying part. Like, don't get me wrong, like, it's cool to have an AI, like, because in reality, ChatGPT really is just a glorified internet. Like, it's just a glorified Google. Like, it can just give you what you want. But imagine when they can do shit like this. Then at what point are you really sitting there and you're like, am I talking to an actual person? Or am I talking to a computer? And she sound like that. Crazy.
Okay, what
They
kind
made
of
it sound
interview?
like Lauren London.
You said
but
that
I'm
this is a time for soul searching in social media businesses, and you were part of building the largest one.
I feel tremendous guilt. It is eroding the core foundations of how people behave by and between each other.
My worst fears are that we, the field, the technology, the industry, cause significant harm to the world. I think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong.
An anomaly.
And I hate to keep pausing this shit. I do. Don't get me wrong. But listen when I tell you. What other field is that possible? Like, what other fields are people Like, you have a base, but then you have, like, you can exceed that by so much. Like, when you really sit back and think about it, a car can only be but so much of a car. You get what I'm saying? Like, a plane can only be but so much of a plane. You can make a plane faster for sure, but if you really sit back and think about it, OpenAI could really just keep going. Like, it has no ceiling, bro. And what other industry can say that?
On Capitol Hill, private tech CEOs asking for more government regulation. It's usually the other way around.
What? You had to be a genius to use this here.
If you're old enough to remember a time before the internet, you remember just how momentous the establishment of...
When I was a kid, I used to just open up the computer. I'm pretty old, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I remember this. But I was a youngin'. I was a youngin'. It wasn't like I was like 15 when this shit came out. But, bro, when I was a youngin' and we used to have to go to the computer lab and we would open up the computer and it would like this, my brain would just be like, bro, what you want me to do with this? Like, you really had to be on some type of, you really had to know how to use the internet to use the internet.
The World Wide Web really was. Within a generation, your digital life became more important than your physical one. Your digital reputation was all that mattered.
And now look at us
But
today.
then, around 8 years ago, the internet died. At least, this is the contention of the so-called dead internet conspiracy theory. It sounded crazy at first, but I'm a believer now. The killer? Artificial intelligence.
I mean, I hate to pause again, but in reality, bro, I feel like there was mad bots before. I feel like before OpenAI was really like popping, like too popping, we still had like bots, bro. Like, it was still bots chatting with you, like. But I do believe ChatGPT and OpenAI made it way worse, for sure. 1,000%.
Most analyses of the dead internet theory trace back to this one thread on the Agora Roads Macintosh Cafe forum, originally compiled by several anonymous users in the January of 2021. It's a mishmash of anecdote, conspiracy, and classically offensive 4chan language that claims that the internet died sometime around 2016. Its most bombastic claim is that, quote, the U.S. government is engaging in an artificial intelligence-powered gaslighting of the entire world population.
Should I say something on that? Should I say something on that? I don't know if I should say something on that. All I'm gonna say is, I believe that 100%. I believe if you control the media, you can control what everybody thinks, because everybody uses media, social media. I'm sorry. So if you drastically just push out one thing, of course people gonna start to believe it, unless they, you know what I'm saying, in tune to understand that some things can be lies, but majority of people is gonna believe anything they see, bro.
End quote.
It's rough out here.
The method? AI-powered bots that have subtly subverted and steered culture towards nefarious ends. It would be impossible to validate the most paranoid claims in the post, but others now seem obviously viscerally true. The internet does feel empty now. Claims in the
leaked memes dating back to 2016 found in 2018 Google's. Oh, they're not saying anything. I thought that was a list of the things.
But others now seem obviously viscerally true. The internet does feel empty now, doesn't it? Dead. Nothing to see. Nothing to do. The internet may seem gigantic, but it's like a hot air balloon. Nothing inside. This progenitor of a famous conspiracy theory doesn't sound so crazy anymore. It was just posted too early. If it was written after the Cambrian explosion of generative AI in our information ecosystem, it may have even been celebrated as a great cultural insight. While an Illuminati-style global gaslighting campaign still seems unlikely, The evidence that the internet may have slipped out of human control is everywhere. Simply put, most website visitors are not humans.
Yeah, I realized that once they said that Facebook had like
2016, the security firm Imperva released a report that found that bots were responsible for over half of all web traffic.
Bro, have y'all been on Twitter?
Why does our idea of health and well-being so often stop at the mouth? Tooth decay is
like it's the same fucking
The
person.
report
I don't watch YouTube videos about teeth. I'm not signed in, never mind. That's why they're giving me random ads. I was finna crash out. I'm
also
sorry.
found that every third visit to any website on the internet is probably from a malicious attack bot. GitHub says AI helps their programmers write up to 30% of their code.
Right.
The company Cybra estimated that before Elon Musk took over, between 11 and 13% of Twitter accounts were bots,
Bro.
and were responsible for a disproportionate amount of the content. YouTube engineers.
So imagine you really sitting there listening to motherfuckers on Twitter, bro. Like imagine you really sitting there, and I don't know if I've ever been on Twitter. I had to delete Twitter, gang. I'm not gonna lie. But imagine you really sitting there and going back and forth with somebody on Twitter. I swear Twitter is not a real place, bro. Like it can't be. The shit that people be saying on Twitter, bro, be so like out of the box, gang.
Coined the term
the
the
box.
inversion to describe the looming point at which fake views would surpass real ones. Google is currently worried that its world-changing search algorithm will drown in the current tidal wave of AI-generated content and become far less useful, if at all. You see examples of these takeovers already happening on Facebook, where images of a crustacean-adjacent Jesus Christ have been going viral and garnering hundreds of millions of engagements. The comments on these posts leave little room for hope that the internet can be revived.
I want to see a bottle making things out of African kids. What the fuck? Is this Twitter? This is Reddit. Looks like Reddit a little bit. It kind of looks like Reddit. But I'm not sure what Twitter looks like at the moment. Bro, I tried prompting this, but no matter what, it can't understand how to make it. Why would it know how to make that? That shit sounds crazy. I want to see a bottle making things out of African kids. Why would it know how to make that, bro? Who the fuck has ever thought of some shit like that, bro? That nigga weird. That dude, he's weird. He's weird. ChatGPT understands he's weird.
I think the internet was terminally ill before ChatGPT was announced and released. I think the biggest watershed moment when you look at this sort of theory of the decaying internet is the release of algorithmic feeds. I think that algorithmic ranking systems that are AI-driven really set the stage for just endless worthless pieces of content and sort of just the whole internet to be optimized in the most absurd ways.
But the internet is not just social media, even if it feels that way. And the bots have infiltrated there too. You can buy AI-generated poetry.
Yeah, I ever had a conversation with somebody and they saying shit you don't know. Like they just way too, I ain't gonna say they're too smart, but they on a different level than you, and you just like, yeah.
Poetry online. You can watch
Please don't
films
ask me
with
what you
Silicon
just
screenwriters. You can listen to podcasts with dead celebrities. You can read the news reported by your favorite neural network spawn. You can be unsettled by the first music video generated via artificial brain. Generative AI, like ChatGPT, is the reason why, if the internet isn't dead and devoid of people already, it soon will be. A blurry landscape of AI and human interaction, as one paper calls it. Shrimp Jesus is obviously fake.
Bro, what the hell? That's a strange spot to pause at. But isn't it crazy that you can really not know if you're talking to an AI? I feel like that's the craziest part of all this shit, bro. You never know. I'm just fixated on that, bro. That's kind of mind-boggling.
Other content isn't so obvious. Fake images routinely fool millions of people and make headlines now.
He fresh as hell.
Manipulated content creates what's trending. Malicious AI creations force the hands of platforms and governments alike.
Damn.
You can easily
What the fuck?
Headlines now. Manipulated content creates what's trending. Malicious
Bro. What is her, like, fat to muscle ratio? Like, bro, she has no fat in her face. Oh, shit, if you read the thread, that's kind of strange. Taylor Swift. Deep fake corn.
AI creations force the hands of platforms and governments alike. You can easily create entirely fake subreddits where every post and comment and reply is AI generated. You can create an infinite amount of music without an ounce of human creativity. This live stream of generative heavy metal music has been playing non-stop since 2019.
It's live.
Why does our idea of health and well-being so often stop at the mouth? Tooth decay is the most prevalent.
Even an internet-enabled job like Instagram influencing is trivially easy to emulate. And if any of these recent phenomena are still in the uncanny valley for you and you think you can identify them, soon you won't be able to. Very soon. If I were to add anything to dead internet theory, it would...
Yo! Chat GPT definitely writes essays. For sure. Not gonna lie, you gotta, you know what I'm saying, fix it a little bit, because AI can't really write to a human. Like, he's just gonna give you like some jibber jabber. He writes, bro, and that motherfucker definitely passes exams. Like, I've seen kids, bro. I've seen kids pass Anatomy 2 exams, gang, with Chat GPT. Organic 2 class exams with Chat GPT. That's all I'm gonna say. ChatGPT really be holding it down.
The public release of ChatGPT specifically was a watershed moment, and not a positive one. Its release and record-breaking adoption both created enormous economic incentive for every knowledge work industry on Earth to create and incorporate generative AI into their businesses, turbocharging the technology, and allowed anyone with any intention, good or bad, to create bottomless pits of lifeless digital corpses at scale for next to nothing.
They had her arm wrestling with Jesus like she was the devil.
According to Timothy Shoup of the Copenhagen Institute for Future Studies, quote, in the scenario where ChatGPT gets loose, the internet would be completely unrecognizable, end quote. And in such a scenario, Shoup says, 99 to 99.9% of online content might be AI generated by 2025.
Bro, it's 2025 right now. Do y'all think that half the things y'all see is AI generated? Just think.
Unfortunately, this is the scenario we're living in. That's just months from now. The internet died not because people can be fooled by manipulated media. That's always been true. It died because synthetic media, like that created by Sora, ChatGPT, DALL-E, Midjourney, and others, can emulate human creativity at a scope and scale that is impossible for humans to engage with or sift through. After its initial release, ChatGPT was creating more synthetic text for its users than appears in all physical books ever written.
Like, bro, it doesn't get tired. It could generally just make anything all day, 24/7, nonstop.
2 weeks.
Kind of beautiful.
We've already prognosticated the tremendous effect on the knowledge work landscape. We've already seen an explosion of synthetic media that targets our most vulnerable. All of this technology, backed by huge economic incentive, is only going to get better and faster and less identifiable. It will get to the point where not even your own friends and family will be able to tell the difference between you and your synthetic. That's why Scarlett Johansson, who famously voiced an AI in the movie Her, had to pursue legal action against OpenAI, the developer of ChatGPT. They used a simulacrum of Johansson's voice in their 4.0 model, even after she explicitly declined involvement.
Oh, Rocky, that's quite a statement piece. I mean, you'll definitely stand out.
Everyone thought it was her.
That's terrifying.
No wonder so many of us have turned off our lights in the dark forest internet. It's a wilderness of bots and unsettlingly human.
Alright, dark forest. I guess that's the clear webs for where you got Facebook, Indeed, LinkedIn, Co's, Gatekeeper, Protecting. Okay. Guidelines like mine, folks. Ran through the chat streams. And the deep web. What do y'all think is on the fucking deep web? I've never been on the deep web. But I'm definitely down to get on the deep web with you guys. At least once.
Human text and deepfakes and bad actors. We stay siloed in our Discords and Slacks and Substacks and podcast forums and newsletters because the internet is not only dead, it is dark and full of terrors. What was first conceived as a conspiracy theory by world governments to control the population came true. Not because DARPA or the CIA deemed it so, but because some tech bros in California recklessly released a self-improving, revolutionary, universally applicable technology to hundreds of millions of people without our consent.
The goal of the internet was to connect the world in this sort of beautiful vision of building a more interconnected society, which would theoretically be a beautiful and amazing thing. And I think where we went wrong is when it started to get warped by this really hyper-capitalist tech environment that we live in. And so you started to see these giant social media companies come and disrupt things. Now we're in sort of the natural endpoint of that, where they've pushed it so hard.
Did y'all see where Facebook was like, they don't mind using AIs to talk to people, so people are less lonely? Did y'all see that shit? That was like a year ago, 2 years ago, I think. I find that so crazy. That is actually pretty crazy.
Hard into the algorithmic world that everything has to be optimized to the point that everything's just going to be AI generated garbage, basically feeding each other.
Losing the internet to bots and synthetic media is more consequential than losing the fun of the early web. It's an epistemological threat. As Nina Schick writes in Deepfakes, The Coming Infocalypse, it's an old Russian disinformation tactic to not just flood an information ecosystem with false information, but with information generally. Once there is too much noise in the signal, people start to tune out.
Right.
They trust media less and less, as sorting and sifting through it all requires.
Which I find to be pretty. I find that to be kind of a good thing. I feel like you should get to a point where you question things for sure, and you shouldn't just be blindly listening or following anything. But it's just maybe
requires more and more cognitive effort. They don't engage as much in the democratic process. They turn towards strongmen. They turn towards conspiracy. They turn against expertise and facts and authority when nothing is true or cannot be judged to be so. This is what generative AI has done, and it's done it all by itself without any help from the KGB.
Bad actors can now manipulate large swaths of people to do anything you want. You don't realize it, but you are being programmed.
Why does our idea of health and well-being so often stop at the mouth? Tooth decay.
And that's the crazy part. A lot of people don't realize that you are having these things being put into your brain in a way of you constantly seeing something might make you believe it, and then it's swaying you to do certain things, and it gives you different opinions on life. So you are technically being programmed in a way, which is crazy, because at that point, where does that stop? Because if you sit here and you think about when you were younger, you were somewhat programmed by your schools or by your teachers or anybody. Now you're getting programmed by the internet. Crazy.
If it feels like the internet is more than just dead, that it's dangerous, that's because it is. According to an observatory report from the Europol Innovation Lab, quote, "Today, threat actors are using disinformation campaigns and deepfake content to misinform the public about events, to influence politics and elections, to contribute to fraud, and to manipulate shareholders. Many organizations have now begun to see deepfakes as an even bigger potential risk than identity theft."
Damn.
End quote. A dead internet makes it...
Which is true, because if you... I'm sorry. It's like my 30th time pausing. But if you really do sit back and think about it, a deep fake could really be insane. Like, imagine, like, you could sway politics by just showing your president, you know what I'm saying, doing something that he shouldn't be doing. I'm not going to say nothing crazy because you're on YouTube, but you could really do that. And it would just sway the general public. Like, the old folks, they'll see that and be like, oh my God, no way. I wouldn't believe that he did that. And it's like, okay. You know, you're going to have the people that don't believe it because they understand. But for the people that don't, bro, I'm telling you, you can make a deep fake of a fucking pig cooking chicken.
Easier to harass, extort, create non-consensual pornography, disrupt financial markets, stoke political unrest, and more. The efforts to regulate the proliferation and use of generative AI are, as could be expected, lagging far behind the adoption and expression of the technology. Do we need an international agency to deal with this? Do we need new privacy laws? Where is the technology that can identify bots and deepfakes as quickly as they can be generated? Is AI art?
And it's crazy that if you're on what platform? Let me see it. If you're on TikTok and you post something and you have like I'll have the my bio, not the bio, the damn comment section, whatever you put on the video. If you get that from ChatGPT, like I'll put myself in there and be like, fix this and make this yada yada, and ChatGPT changes it even just one word. If you put that into TikTok, it'll literally tell you that it's made by ChatGPT, made by AI.
Real art? Is synthetic music real music?
So
is anyone alive out there?
Think about where we're going to be in 10 years and just how easy it will be to generate content at scale, and what sort of systems we'll build to navigate those pieces of content. I just think it's going to be a completely different internet. So I do think that the internet that we probably grew up with, like the original version of the web, the human version of the web, is dead.
Yeah, for sure. Like the MySpaces of the days. I don't know if y'all remember MySpace. Never mind. Y'all know what MySpace is. Some of y'all.
We're in a dangerous spot. Like how history can be meaningfully split into the time before nuclear weapons and the time after, generative AI and the death of the internet seems like it will be another historical delineation. They are both technologies that instantly changed the world. It mattered who had them and who developed them. Both were tested without public consent, both with extreme criticism. Regulations for each were slow or toothless. Both put enormous power in the hands of just a few people.
And voice as well.
Both rendered certain previous technologies obsolete. And both have the power to obliterate whole populations, whether they be physical or digital.
You could just you could digitally bully the hell out of somebody with ChatGPT. Y'all wanna try that? I'll let y'all do it to me. Y'all can just come up with crazy comments using ChatGPT. Just put it in. You can literally put the link of this video into ChatGPT. You be like, give me jokes to make about this video. I'm just saying y'all could do that if y'all want to. I'm not gonna take offense. I'm gonna just say, like, I just want y'all to see the power of ChatGPT, because that shit really is crazy if you really want me to sit back and think about it. And OpenAI is more than just ChatGPT, but ChatGPT specifically, you can do stuff like that and just go crazy.
AI is the nuclear bomb of the information age. The internet may not be dead in the way the original conspiracy theory claimed. It may not even be dead in the way that I claim here. But what seems indisputable is that the internet has changed for the worse. It doesn't feel as fun, or as creative, or as connecting, or as endlessly interesting. Generative AI has come along with a good enough simulacrum of human intelligence and poisoned the well. How we purify it, I don't know. Rapid, large-scale government regulation feels heavy-handed, but necessary. There haven't been many ways historically to fight meaningfully against massive economic incentives like generative AI has. I suppose this is just another warning. A warning from someone who lives on the internet and can see its headstone from here. Until next time.
Alright. What y'all think, man? Oh, Jesus.
Why does our
Bro,
idea of health...
Get hit by an ad? What do y'all think? Do y'all think it's real? Actually, it's not even a think it's real at this point. We all, you see it. We see it. We know what's going on, but that's crazy, man. That's definitely crazy. Insane. But thank y'all for coming on, man. I'm about to get like 5 more of these jokes cranked out. So let me find my next video. I'm gonna stay